This is chapter number 10, The Changing World of Visual Arts. Visual arts, what we have seen in British rule, that various aspects, walk of life, field changed. We are talking about farmers, peasant. We are talking about the Adivasis, the Janjatis, the tribes. But what about the visual arts? Because the arts, people are everywhere and different skills people have. So, what kind of arts change? How these different artists they took upon this, or they changed themselves, or the painting change. Basically, we are talking about painting here. So, what do we mean by painting? You take a paint it on a paper, or take a canvas, paint it on a canvas. So, whatever we see today, if you see a movie or a comedy or say dance or some book, everything comes with the ideas of a person who is living in certain environment. So the ideas come, the world around him or her, it will create the ideas, it will shape up the ideas, and these ideas are presented in the form of different arts. Okay, so these ideas are, if you talk about painting, then it will be painted. So we are talking about the colonial period, we are talking about the British rule. So what kind of arts were developed or done at this particular time? What are the changes in the world of visual arts? So we are talking about around 1700 plus, to be very precise, 1750 to 1950. Around 200 years Britishers were here. So how these arts change? So when the colonial rule came, the British rule came, different type of art forms, variety of art forms, these styles, the materials, samagri. Because if you are painting, there are different techniques of painting. So you will need some oil, you will need some water, different kind of combination of chemicals. There are different techniques also which came. And this is how the Indian artists, they adapted themselves. They start doing for the local people or for the patrons or the market. For everyone, even for the bigger people, elite, and also the popular circles. So the British people also artists and the Indian also artists, they took different form style and they made this painting for different variety of people. So we'll be talking about painting as well as printmaking. Right now what we have a paper, we can photocopy it, or we have the digital cameras, we have the mobile cameras. So now we can take pictures, we can send it, share it. But at that time it was not there. The painting was the main key feature, key art, which was accepted and admired by everyone. The first picture which we see here is the Damayanti. This is a woman called Damayanti. And when you see this picture, you will not realize this is actually a painting. This was done by Raja Ravi Verma, and this is an actual painting, and it is so realistic. We will talk about Raja Ravi Verma in detail. New forms of imperial art. So art, Rajshahi art, imperial art. So what we are talking about, the people who came here, or the rule, under the rule, how the different Western people, they did different painting. So the people, because even before British rule also, the British traders were coming. So even the traders, when they were coming, and when the British rule was established in India, the rulers came. So with all of them, European artists also came along with the ships. So artists came along with the British traders and rulers in around from the 18th century it started. Okay, so whenever you go to different places, say you go to South India, you will see a lot of curry leaves, and the coconut is used in the food. So when you come back, you try to put this coconut and this curry leaves. This is how you adapt to the style. So when people go from here and there, from different place they migrate, they take with them and they adapt to different styles and different conventions. So same thing, the styles of painting and conventions. Convention is basically an accepted form or norm or style. So when they came up with different styles and convention which were not very popular in Indian subcontinent. And now whatever they are picturing, whatever they are making, these people who came along with the traders and rulers, why their painting and their work was so important and so popular? Because the Western perception, people who are coming from Western society, they want to know about India, they want to know about the subcontinent, they want to know about different places where they cannot go by themselves. For example, say 100 people per 100 people, one is coming to India or subcontinent. So 99 are still there who want to know about India, who want to know about the subcontinent. So these pictures, this painting, this art form, these are the perception, these are the only way that the back home people can learn, oh, this is how India looks, this is how the subcontinent looks, right? So European, let me tell you about convention again, an accepted norm or style. So they came up with new styles and also new conventions of painting. So the European artists, when they came, they bought the convention, the idea of realism. Realism means realistic. That is, you don't paint what is not there. You paint what you see. That is, if you are an artist, you have eyes, whatever you see, you observe everything very carefully around you, and then whatever you have seen, with all faith, with all sincerity, you put it on the canvas, you put it on the paper. So whatever you see, you paint it, it should look real and lifelike, Jivant. So when they came, they brought the idea of realism, and then they, as I was saying, the techniques. So they brought the technique of oil painting, Talachitra Paddhati. Oil painting they also bought with themselves. Because Indian artists were not very familiar, they were not knowing about this oil painting before them. Before they were actually bought by the Westerners. Okay? So oil painting is now used for different realistic pictures. So in oil painting, if you see the Damayanti picture also, you see how real it is. So it will look quite real. Not just a creation. It will look like an actual creation. This picture is an oil painted picture. Oil painted painting. Right? So it will look like so real, so close to the reality. So European artists, all were not, are subjected or inspired by same thing. They took so many subjects because everyone has different taste. So some were painting the landscape, some were painting the people, some were painting the buildings, some were painting the life of the people. So portrait or you can call landscape, you can say, because the variety was there. Every painter has a different style of painting. So this is how they were painting some memorial, say, some building, some war they also paint. So basically they wanted to show on all this picture the superiority of the British. They wanted to show that British or the Westerners are superior than the people of subcontinents, people of India. They wanted to show this through this picture, the culture, the people and the power these British rule have. So that is why we are calling it as the imperial art. That is why Rajshahi, imperial art, superiority is shown in the picture. When we actually see the picture, I'll show you the pictures. You'll understand what kind of superiority different famous artists they put in. So the artist here is Thomas Daniel and his nephew William Daniel. There is a word going to come, engraving. Engraving is basically you take a wood or a metal. Now there is a part you chisel, you take out. That is, you make, say, flower, you make certain art. You don't make it, actually you cut it, and then these impression are pressed on the paper or the cloth. Okay, so this is how impression is. This is called engraving. When you take out certain part, artistic part from a wood or a metal, that part, if you fill something in that part and then you press it to some paper or cloth, that particular say flower or something what you have made is printed on that paper or that cloth. That is called engraving. Let me tell you again, engraving a picture printed onto a paper from a piece of wood or metal into which the design or drawing has been cut. So you need to cut on one part, say metal or wood, and then you press it on the paper and then you paint it. So looking for the picturesque. Picturesque means something beautiful, big and beautiful. Picturesque means which is soothing to the eyes. The landforms, the forest, the beaches. So one very popular imperial tradition was this picturesque type of landscape painting. You might have made when you were a kid this kind of painting, that is some mountains and sun coming up and there's a river flowing, and then you show a simple house, and then we will show some people here around, then you will show some trees out here. Okay, so this style of painting they were doing, the traditional type. So they depicted India as a quaint land. Quaint means a land which is not being touched. It's still which is not being say popularized or discovered till. And all the people who are traveling, like British were traveling or artists were traveling, they have to explore these quaint land. They wanted to show through this picture that the landscapes are rugged and wild. There are still places which are not even being touched by people. So they were showing the ruggedness, the wildness, because it is not developed. These lands are not developed. So no human has touched certain part of area, certain part of land. So this is what they wanted. This is called the picturesque landscape painting type, the imperial tradition. And the two people who are going to be discussed here a lot is Thomas Daniel and his nephew. His name is William Daniel. So Thomas Daniel and William Daniel, they were not brothers. They are not father or a son. They are actually, one is the uncle and other is the nephew. So Thomas Daniel is Chacha, William Daniel is Bhatija. So these two gentlemen came to India in 1785 and they stayed here for almost 7 years. And they started their journey from Calcutta to the north part of the India and to the southern part also. Okay, so these pictures are quite picturesque. What they made was very picturesque. That is all the land, Bhudrish means whatever they made, land is always there. So they wanted to show the area which is conquered or taken up by the Britishers. Okay, they were making very big large oil painting on canvas. So this is a new style and they were showing the Bhudrishya or the picturesque kind of painting here. And these paintings are very popular and they were only showing it to very selected people. There are albums of engravings also. Engraving I just told you. So they were showing this oil painting and the engravings only to very selected people. And the British public, because they want to know about India, they want to know about the British Empire, and these pictures were the only sources or the way for the back home people to understand and to know how the British rule is there in India. Okay, so I'll show you two pictures. And you see the reference. This is a picture and this is the ruins of on the banks of the Ganges, Ganga river of Ghazipur. Ghazipur is in Uttar Pradesh. And this is painted by Thomas Daniel. You see here, these are people who are poor. Okay, and here you see priest also. All these All these buildings are now they are destroyed, or they are in rumbles, right? And picture is very good, no doubt. The picture is good, but what is being shown here is that this India, which was maybe a good civilization sometime, but now this everything is finished, and this land, these buildings is finished, and now it is British governance only can modernize this area. The change or the improvement can only be brought up by the Britishers. So this is what this Daniel picture shows us. That is how they showed India or the subcontinent, because this will be shown to the people of England. But on the other part, they also wanted to show what Britishers are doing. So they wanted to show, this is a picture by Thomas and William Daniel in 1786 they made. So this is a Clive Street, Robert Clive Street in Calcutta, present day Kolkata. So here they wanted to show that the British rule, how they are emancipating, how are they modernizing the civilization of India. So this picture is showing this very prominently. Okay, that is, the drawing is showing that the Calcutta is a new Calcutta now. You see, this picture is showing wide roads, wide avenues, the different kind of European style buildings here, and the transport also, they are somewhat different from the traditional transport used in Calcutta. So big roads, big buildings, new kind of transport. That is, they wanted to show this through this picture. There is all life and activity on the roads, and this is just because of Britishers. There is all drama and excitement going on in the streets. So this picture is enough for the Britishers to know that wow, what British rules is doing. So the traditional life which you saw in the previous picture is very, very old, pre-modern, changeless, motionless. You see the fakirs, the poor people, cow, these fakirs, these are the cows. There is a boat approaching. Life is very, very slow, dull, dumb. But life, when the Britisher has come, is something very different, is realistic. So this is how the British rule is influencing. Through this picture, it is shown that it is influencing the Indian subcontinent, the different cities, the different people of India. So they wanted to show that British is imparting or bringing some dramatic changes here. Arts. Portraits of authority. Now here, the pictures are being made, but with a different mindset, that is, in order to show the authority. So portrait, what was there before in Indian culture, traditional art, and how it changed under colonial rule. So portrait and portraiture, first we need to understand. Portrait is basically a picture of a person. So there is a person in the persons in the picture, and then the face and its expression, the feeling is quite prominent. Johann Zoffany, I'll just talk about him. So portrait is basically the show or representation of the expression of a person, and portraiture is the art of making portraits. So whether it is British or Indian, the rich, powerful, they wanted to see themselves on the picture, on the painting, on the canvas. So this is the art in colonial India, that was portrait painting. And everyone wants to be on the canvas. They wanted to show themselves. Okay? But previously in Indian tradition, the portraits were miniature. It was smaller. But when the colonial portraits came up, this tradition or this style came up, they were big images, like life-size images. And you will see people also, that is British royals, and also they will look like lifelike and realistic picture. Okay? So the portraiture, this is the new style of portraiture. This actually showed, or this was the mean to display the great, lavish, and amazing lifestyles, wealth and status of these Britishers also, and sometimes Indian also. Okay, but mostly Britishers. So Britishers and Indian, all the rich people I'm talking about. So as I said, rich, they wanted to show their lavish lifestyle. That is, they have money, they are enjoying their lives, they have big mansions, they have people to serve for them. So wealth and status, it was also being shown in this new style of portraiture. So there is a word coming up, commission. To formally choose someone or to appoint someone for a certain piece of work, against certain payment being fixed, that you do this work, will give you this amount. This is commission. So the commission used here is somewhat different. This is hiring a painter. So as this portrait, this painting became so popular, the European came to know about this. So the European portrait painters, as this portrait was becoming popular, painting was becoming popular in India, the European people, European painters, portrait painter, they start coming to India because they were getting a profitable commissions, because all the rich people were involved here, Britishers and Indians. So that is how they start coming to India, because they were getting a contract. Just make their picture, means big picture, and they'll get money. So there are various people came. One of them was, the famous one was Johann Zoffany. His name was, it's Johann Zoffany, but it's pronounced as Johann Zoffany. So this gentleman, this artist, this portrait painter, he was born in Germany. Then he migrated to England. And he came to India in mid 1780s, 83, 84 he came around. And he stayed here for 5 years. 5 years he stayed. Now, if I can show the pictures being made by him, the portraiture of lavish style, lifestyle, wealth, etc., as I said, status, you will see how he made, and he showed positively what is required out of him. So you see this picture, there are two pictures. So here you see Indians also, but these Indians are only shown in background as servants. But the Britishers, the royal people, you see big mansions, big land they have, and they are, Indians are shown very submissive, dabbu, inferior, right? So the Indians are just shown, because the picture has to be fulfilled. They have to be showing that they are servants. Indians are servants, and the Britishers are enjoying their lives. So the way they are standing, the way they are being shown, their expression, their way they are portraying themselves, the dress they have, the attire they are wearing, and the way they are standing also, luxurious life they are living. They have money, they have all the good things of life. But Indians also, you see, but they are always in shadowy background. You see this picture, there is a girl, Indian girl, but what is she doing? She is having some stuff, carrying some stuff of the women, or some fan. But the main two, this picture is showing two key people. And you know who these two people are? He is Governor General Hastings and his wife in their Boulevard estate. Governor Hastings and his wife, these two people, and this is being painted by Johann Zoffany. This is an oil painting, and it was painted in 1784. This is a Boulevard estate. Johann Zoffany created it, and you see this is a mansion which is being a very grand colonial mansion. And here you see on the right, this is a marriage ceremony. So there are two families, Dashwood family and the Oriel family. So Thomas Dashwood was married to Charlotte Louisa Oriel. So Dashwood family and Oriel family. Now if you see this are the families of Calcutta. This picture is again painted by Johann Zoffany. It is also an oil painting in 1784. So do you see here, this is friends and relatives, and this is the marriage ceremony, and the background servants, they are only there to serve tea. They are making their life comfortable. So this is how Johann Zoffany presented it. Not only Britishers, as I said, the Nawabs, the rich people of India, they also wanted to show themselves on portraits. So Indian Nawabs also, they began showing or commissioning these European painters for the oil portraits. They also wanted it. Now the thing was, the Britishers annexed certain places and they implemented, say, or they had a resident there, agent it was. So all the decision, everything was now with the hand of, in the hand of resident only, British resident. So now the Nawabs are only on the pension. Some of them, they did not want the interference of this resident, that is the British company. But some of the Nawabs, they accepted the superiority of Britishers. They said it's okay, let's accept what the superiority of British. Let them interfere in our say regime and power. And since we don't have anything, we are already defeated. So it's better, let's accept the superiority of British. So they started socializing the British and also started adopting and adapting to the styles and taste. That is all this, the taste of say culture, the taste of tradition these Britishers have. That is the European tradition. So this person is Muhammad Ali Khan. There is a place called Arcot. Arcot, Muhammad Ali Khan, he lost in 1770s. There's a war and British annexed his regime, his territory, and now Muhammad Ali Khan became the pensioner of the company. He became the pensioner of the company. But he, after all this also, he commissioned two visiting European artists. He also wanted to be shown as, others, the Europeans or the Britishers are being shown. So Tilly Cattle and George Willison. As I said, Johann Zoffany. Similarly, we have Tilly Cattle, George Willison, and there are so many painters which came to India. So they were given the task by Muhammad Ali Khan, and when this is being painted, his portrait is being painted, this was gifted to King of England and also to the big shots or the directors of the East India Company. So Muhammad Ali Khan, like Muhammad Ali Khan, there were many Nawabs which have done this. See, खाने को नहीं दाने, अम्मा चलिए बुनाने. That means, खाने को नहीं कबाब, फिर भी हम रहेंगे नवाब. So Nawab has lost all this power, valor, money, but still he wanted to show himself as a royal figure. So the way he is standing, that is, he is trying to show in this picture that still he is majestic, still he is aristocratic like this, but he was not. Coming to painting history, that is what all happened. It was being painted. So two paintings I told you about. Now the third category of painting or imperial art is called history painting. Itihas ka chitran. History painting. Oil painting I told you. The realistic painting I told you. This is the imperial art, history painting. So this kind of tradition, they wanted to show, they wanted to present, they want to recreate and recall the events, big events, the big episodes which happened in British imperial history. Basically, this picture wanted to show the prestige, the popularity, the valor, the importance and the power of Britishers. So see, what do these history painter will do in Britain, or the British painters, the painters will do? Because there are various regime which British annexed. So there are all stories of British victories. So these painter, first of all, they uh, got this information from the hand sketches and also from the account of travelers. And when they got the information, they made these pictures of British victories. And now these pictures which they made, history painting, this was made specially for the British people back home in England and Scotland to know that the British are doing good work, India and elsewhere. So in order to put a favorable image in the mind of British public, British say resident or the citizens, this picture was there. So these picture or these paintings were basically to celebrate the British power, to show the British people which are in England that how powerful the Britishers were, their victories, and the white supremacy that these white have on the other places like India and etc. Okay, so you see this picture. This is a very important picture. There are so many people involved here. So this picture was being made by Francis Hayman. Now you see Francis Hayman on the left. Now he made this picture in 1762, and this picture was properly being placed on a public display in Vauxhall Gardens in London. So this was for open public display in London, this picture. So what do this London people or the British people will understand by this picture? Okay, what happened was, Britishers, the East India Company, they defeated Sirajud-Dowlah. There was a famous battle of Plassey, and this Nawab Sirajud-Dowlah, he was defeated, and now he was not just defeated, he was defeated with a conspiracy. There was a commander of Sirajud-Dowlah, Mir Jafar. He did not take part in the battle. That is how Sirajud-Dowlah actually lost, because there was a say pre-meeting arrangement. There was already a nexus between Robert Clive and Mir Jafar that if you help us, we are going to make you the Nawab of Bengal. Okay, Nawab of Murshidabad. So Mir Jafar did that. Everyone wanted power, and he was like, the backstabbing man. So that is how Sirajud-Dowlah lost, and Mir Jafar was finally made as a puppet Nawab of Bengal, of Murshidabad. Okay. Now, if you see this picture, this was they wanted to show they don't want to show the conspiracy. They just wanted to show the aggression and the conquest, which is not in the painting. The aggression and conquest is not depicted. Sorry, that is the fight, the battle, the killing was not shown. It was just that Mir Jafar is welcoming Robert Clive. So it's all good. After the battle of Plassey. But what happened behind that? What's not shown by this Hayman? Okay, no killing, no battlefield, no conspiracy. So Robert Clive was being welcomed by Mir Jafar. That is, the English people will see, oh, Indians are welcoming the Britishers. They want them there. They have supremacy over others. Okay. So this kind of celebration, we see in various pictures. Whenever British military, British troop, they are victor, they get victory, the celebration happens. And these are the paintings are the way or the means and mode of showing it. So I'll talk about Mysore, the famous battle of Seringapatam. Right now, or it was changed to Srirangapatnam. Now here Tipu Sultan father, Hyder Ali, and also Tipu Sultan, they were the biggest enemies of Englishmen. They had French support also, but they were by themselves very powerful. Now Mysore, Seringapatam was the capital of Mysore, the place where these Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan were ruling. And there were various Anglo-Mysorean war that happened, because it was not easy to defeat Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali. But finally, in the fourth war, 1799, Tipu Sultan was defeated, and he was killed also. He was defeated and killed. This happened in the famous Battle of Seringapatam. So the British troops in the pictures are shown how they finished, how they killed, how they ended the people who are against them, like Tipu Sultan. So here if you see picture, how this British triumph is celebrated, how this British troop, they are storming and coming to the walls from all sides of the fort. They were just cutting these soldiers into pieces. This is storming of Seringapatam. It is being made by Robert Kerr Potter. They are climbing on the walls, soldiers, raising flag aloft on the ramparts of Tipu's fort. And basically, all the Britishers, what they did to Tipu Sultan, since Tipu Sultan was actually resisting everything what British wanted to imply or implement. So now this painting is glorifying the British triumph. One picture is very important. See this picture. Here is General Bade. He was leading the British army that stormed Tipu's fort. Now if you see how he is standing in between triumphantly with valor, power in the middle. The light of the lanterns, Laltain, he is the only visible person. If you see Tipu, he lies dead. And his body is in darkness, semi-darkness. His forces are defeated. Royal clothes which he had, it was stripped off. Only General Bade is seen here. So this is being shown, this picture is announcing that if anybody is resisting against the English, whoever dare to oppose the British, this will be the result. This will be the consequence. Okay? So Tipu Sultan was not at all the key figure of this picture, though this was the triumph picture of their defeat. That is, they defeated Tipu Sultan and killed also. But it was all General Bade picture. That is, the Britishers are shown that they are powerful and they can kill anyone, they can defeat anyone. That is again the power, valor and the way they want to show the supremacy. Now what happened to the court artists, means the rulers, the regime, the territory owners at that time? What happened to the people, artists who are working there? Because new tradition has come, new art has come because of the British rule. So how did the painters who are working in Indian courts, they react to this new traditions of imperial art? There is a word going to come which is a wall painting. That is, if this is a room, say for example, we'll talk about Ajanta Ellora caves in a bit. But painting on a wall is mural painting. So we talked about Hyder Ali, Tipu Sultan. So Tipu Sultan, he fought not only British on the battlefield, because he fought around 4 wars. And finally, he was killed in the final battle of Seringapatam. But away from the battlefield, the Tipu Sultan was resisting, or he was resisting the cultural tradition also associated with Britishers. That is, he don't want that the Western culture should come of art and new styles. So he continued and he helped to encourage the local tradition, the Mysorean tradition, the South Indian tradition. Okay? If you happen to see, I'll just talk about the Darya Daulat Palace. Okay? So the palace of Seringapatam, now Srirangapatnam, it is filled with the mural painting. And this mural painting, the painting on the walls, is done by the local artists which were encouraged by Tipu Sultan, the tiger of Mysore. Right? Now I'll show you a picture here in order to convince you that what kind of painting we are talking about. There was a famous battle of Polilur in 1780, and here Tipu Sultan as well as his father Hyder Ali, they both were very strong men, strong ruler. There were around 4 or 5 number of Anglo-Mysore war happened. 4 with Tipu. So finally, they defeated the English troops, English army. Okay, so this is the thumb or the you know remembrance of Battle of Polilur. Now you see this picture. This is a mural painting. That is, this is painting on the Darya Daulat Palace at Seringapatnam. This Darya Daulat Palace was of Tipu Sultan. And this is showing, this is commemorating basically the Hyder Ali victory over the English army. Where? At the Battle of Polilur. At the Battle of Polilur. Now, not only this, we've just talked about Mysore. If I take you to the other part, that is Bengal. If you remember, Murshid Quli Khan, we had his capital as Murshidabad. Now here we have a different trend. This depends on the political, panorama also. So Britishers basically defeated Nawab Sirajuddaulah and they installed puppet Nawabs, Katputli Nawabs, first Mir Jafar, then Mir Qasim, right? Then again Mir Jafar. So what happened here? When these puppet Nawabs are there on the seat, on the satta, on the power, what will happen? There will be court artists, the painters. So these Mir Qasim and Mir Jafar, they were just puppets. So they encouraged the local miniature artist to absorb new styles, new taste, the artistic style of whom? The Britishers. Because Mir Jafar, Mir Qasim, as you see here, they are directly or indirectly working for Britishers only. So the court artists, whichever were there, these Mir Jafar and Mir Qasim, they encourage them that please adopt the English style. Or the artists were by themselves absorbing this British style. So what was the style, if you remember? It was about the realism. So they started adopting the ideas, style, elements of European realism. And they adopted the idea of perspective. Perspective is a projection. It gives us a sense of a distance from object. That is, the near object will seem bigger, thus the far object will be smaller. So there you see straight lines and they are merging at a point. This is how you see also. Your eyes also works on perspective projection. So they were trying to use this perspective projection, that is a near and far distance. They were using this court artist of Mir Qasim and Mir Jafar. They were using light and shade. So when we're using perspective, light and shade, so these pictures were looking quite real, quite lifelike, right? So this perspective was the style of British. It was started by British, or it came with the European artist. So perspective is basically you see the object, or in the picture, the way you see by your normal eyes. The rays goes and they seem to be intersecting. Well, you know, parallel rays, they never intersect. So this is how our eyes also make a 3D picture and all the perception. This is how you perceive. This is perspective projection. I would like to show you a picture. And this picture, this is Nawab Mubarakuddaulah. Nawab Mubarakuddaulah of Murshidabad. You see, this is a Eid procession. You know, Eidul Zoha, Eidul Fitr. So this is Eidul Zoha, Eidul Fitr, meat Eid. So this was made by G. Farrington, and this picture you see is not the picture by G. Farrington. It is a copy by the local artist of Murshidabad. Local artist, he has made this picture, the original picture was made by Mr. Farrington. And this is quite a beautiful picture showing the perspective projection. So at the same time, what happened? There were different officials. These local courts, rulers had they were puppets only, and they were going on pension. So in order to pay this, they previously they will give asharfiyan, sone ki asharfiyan to these painters. But now not. These rulers, now they don't have money. So these people, these local artists actually had to go to British. They turned to British. Okay. So same time I'm talking about the British officials. Now they found the Indian world different from the Western world, because what they see in the in Britain is somewhat different what they see when they come here. So they wanted to make image, they wanted to make pictures, or they wanted to buy those pictures which is to understand India. That is, this India can be understood back home by the British people and the European people, that how actually India is. Because they wanted to show India to the Western world. They have to make certain picture which is quite representable. Because Europe, West is what? West is what? Europe, and England is Europe. And East is what? East is India, Arabs, etc. This is East. At that time it was called. So the local painters, we just talked about the local painters, local artists, they started producing a big image, means the images of big varied variety of India, that is plants and animals, historical buildings, monuments, even the festivals, as I just showed you, Eid al-Fitr festival, the processions, Julus. Along with this, they were also painting the trades and craft which was here, the caste and community, religion they want to show, the caste, different caste people also they wanted to show. So now these pictures were very popular. They became very popular, and people were, especially the company officials, were eager to collect them, to buy them. And these pictures were later known as company paintings. So we call it as a later company paintings. The new popular Indian art. So now here, what was the Indian art? What was the popularity grabbing Indian art? So in the 19th century, see, there is a huge transformation here. In Bengal, there is a place called Kalighat. So this Kalighat, basically it's a temple, very famous for the temple. So here this place was very famous for the pilgrimage. In Bengal, this Kalighat was very famous for pilgrimage, Tirthatan. So the local village scroll painters, this temple of Kalighat, the local village scroll painters, Kharra Chitrakar. So the scroll painters, they were called as Patuas. Scroll painters were Patuas. So scroll painters, Patuas are same thing. And the potters is basically who deal with the soil or clay. So Kumars in Eastern India, and if you go to North India, they were called as Kumhars. So local village people, one category was scroll painters, and other were potters. Now they started a new style. They began new style of art. So they moved from villages into Calcutta. Why they came to Calcutta? You know what was the capital of British? Calcutta. So they were coming to Calcutta because, being this main setup of Britishers, this Calcutta was actually expanding, and this was expanding as a commercial center also, an administrative center also. Because it was developing, so colonial offices were coming, different establishments were coming, new buildings were being made, the roads were made, constructed, and the markets are also coming up. So these people saw that there is opportunity here in Calcutta. So the artists from the village, nearby village, they came here, and because artists will get some patrons and new buyers if they come to Calcutta, because Calcutta is now developing and developing exponentially. So this Kharra Chitrakar or scroll painting, let me show you what is Kharra Chitrakari or scroll painting. So painting on a long roll of a paper which could be rolled. So making and then rolling it. So this is how it can be rolled. Okay. So before 19th century, I talked about Patuas and Kumars. I just talked about village Patuas and Kumars. So these painters, these artists, they were basically working on mythological themes. That is, the Puranic, the past, our Vedas, our Ramayanas, our Mahabharatas, all these mythological themes, mythological characters they are going to show, and along with these gods and goddesses. This is what they were making at that time, before 19th century. But when they came to Kalighat, this village nearby areas, they came to Kalighat, which was basically a pilgrimage. They still continued to make these religious images only. They didn't change it. These village artists, they came here because Calcutta and this place were developing, but still they were painting this only, god and goddesses and mythological themes, right? Traditionally, this scroll painting is flat. That means you will not be able to see the 3D look. Okay. Now these Kalighat painters, they start giving shading. For example, if you are here, if I show your shadow, it will somewhat look as 3D, somewhat. But still the Kalighat painting was not very realistic. It is not even lifelike, not even realistic. Okay. Basically, the previous Kalighat painting, early Kalighat painting, they would use some non-realistic style way of painting, and the figures will be very large and somewhat powerful, you can say. The lines, details and colors of the picture were very less. But after 1840s, what happened? You will see the trend. You will see the change here. After 1840s, there was a new trend within this Kalighat artist. So what they did, this Kalighat artists, now they started producing the painting on social and political themes. They were previously making mythological themes, god, goddesses, etc. Now they were making the pictures. When they have come to Calcutta, they have come to this place, they are now showing the social and political themes. That how Indian culture, Indian life is changing under the British rule. Okay? So they were started, making fun or mocking those people who are trying to be English. They are Indians, but they wanted to look like an Englishman, sahibs. That is those who wanted to speak English, adopt the Western habits, dress like some sahibs, smoked cigarettes or cigars, sat on chair, sitting cross-legged. So now they were making fun in their pictures, the westernized babus, because babus are basically the clerk working for these Westerners, Britishers. So along with this, they were mocking these westernized babu. They criticized them. Along with this, they were also making painting about the priest, which they thought these are corrupt. The corrupt priest. And also the women which are moving out of their homes. Women for them, because they are coming from village, they were only thinking that women has to stay at home. So they were also mocking the women which are moving out of homes. So they would express the anger of very common people against those rich people. Because many of these people, they fear that this change of social norms, this change in the panorama or the culture here will bring out something which we are not ready for. Okay? Because people, these painters also, they got ideas from where they are living. They are living in Calcutta now. Now let us discuss these two pictures. This is a fight or battle between Hanumanji and Jambuan. This is a Kalighat painting of mid-19th century. Mid-19th century of Calcutta. This is again on a watercolor. This is watercolor on paper. Now you see the artist has somewhat modernized it. These are traditional images, but Hanuman is wearing footwear, juta, shoes. Hanuman never wore it. One more picture I am going to show you here. This is of Tanjore. Okay. People are painted against the empty spaces. Background is nothing. You see, there is nothing in the background. There are these are three different pair couples, husband wife, and they are showing or depicting a different religious sect of Tanjore region. Okay, this is a company painting from Tanjore. It's of 1830. Okay, like Indian plants, birds, animal, these are depicted in company paintings. The human figures are also like this. This caste, creed, religion, sects, different regions were shown. Okay, now if you see this picture, this is the Englishman on an elephant and he's hunting a tiger. This is also Kalighat painting. This is mid 19th century of Calcutta. This is also watercolor on paper. Now this painting is quite an example of how these Patuas, they wanted to show English life in India. Because Englishmen love to hunt. So they saw hunting as a sport. Because they wanted to show courage and manliness, these English people. And this is properly shown by the Kalighat painters. One more picture, as I said, the Kalighat painters were mocking the English Babus. So this is Babu on a chair, Kalighat painting, 19th century picture. Now you see the artists fear this Babus are trying to imitate the West. And also they are trying to leave the local culture, these Babus. So Babu here is shown as Mazak, clownish figure. He is wearing shoes, high heel, and also sitting on a chair. And this is very, very pointed, ridiculously pointed legs. So Hindustani Babu, Angrezi Nagre. So life study is going to come. We have seen about this type of painting, the study of human figures from living models who pose for the artist. Okay, life study picture, Jeevan Samaj. So the study of human figures from living models who pose for the artist. Somebody would pose and the picture will be made. Okay. Now these popular prints were not only painted by these poor village Kalighat Patuas. They are often the middle class people also. See, if I can tell you that many kind of printing was there. This is one of the printing I'm showing you. Wooden blocks, they will make some chiseling, engraving, and these blocks were inked. These are pressed on paper, and these woodcut prints then are colored by hand. So many copies can be produced at the same time with the same block. Okay. So after that, the late 19th century printing press, it was not that which we see today. It was purely mechanical. So these were set up in different parts of India, and this allowed the prints even in the larger copies, larger numbers, and it can go up to a larger extent of people. So now the poor people could also buy. Okay. So as I said, the printing press started. So the printing press was set up by the middle class also. As I said, the Kalighat Patuas were poor. But if I take you to the middle class people, what was happening here? The artists were making printing press here. They were producing prints for wide market. But these middle class people, they were properly trained in British art school in a new method of life study, oil painting, print making. So now we talked about Patuas and Kumar. They were not trained. But now the middle class at this time, as I said, life study, print making, oil painting, they were being trained in the British institution itself. Okay. And they set up printing press. For example, if I can give you an example of Calcutta Art Studio, this is a very good example. So Calcutta Art Studio, this is one of the successful presses, and it was being set up. And who set up? Those people who already learned from British institution. So this Calcutta Art Studio is producing lifelike images of Bengali personalities, big personalities. Also the mythological pictures, not only this eminent Bengali personalities, also the mythological pictures, quite realistic. And with this picture, I'll show you a picture also. There is a proper mountain, lakes, rivers, and forest. That is, it is quite landscape. It's totally all the background is shown here. okay, by these middle class artists who set up this printing press. Okay, now there is a new trend, but before that, let us see the picture. You'll understand this. This is a mythological scheme. This is a legend of the Nal and Damayanti. Nal and Damayanti. Okay, and this is produced by Calcutta Art Studio. I just told you about Calcutta Art Studio. So you'll see the contrast. It is realistic. The whole background, you have trees, everything is properly shown here. Nal and Damayanti. And if you see here, this is, as I said, it's a mythological picture. Again, Calcutta Art Studio produced it. Kali. Kali is a Devi, is a goddess. So this was basically an advertisement of an Indian brand of cigarette, which was banned by British in 1905. So now this Kali is killing these British soldiers, shown here. If I take you further ahead, when these pictures were being made, and now we are talking about that era where nationalism was there. National movement was taking up. All the pictures were now blend with or imbibed with the nationalism, Rashtravad. So most of the picture you see with Bharat Mata, she was regarded as the goddess of India. And you see different flags. This flags is a national flag. And we have those pictures where nationalist heroes are shown giving their head, sacrificing their head to Bharat Mata. And also god and goddesses clearly slaughtering and killing the British. So different way they were depicted. If you see here, you will see Lal Bahadur Shastri, Vallabh Pant, you will see Rabindranath Tagore, you will see Gandhi ji also, Nehru ji also. All these national movement people we see here. Okay. So this kind of pictures were made at that time. Visual arts. Now we talked about the paintings that under British rule, Drishya Kala paintings, how they were changing, the oil painting, the realistic painting and the history painting. But at this time, the photography was also done. There are certain important events, there are certain important places, processions, there are different things which are being photographed that shows us the history. This is the Horse Regiment, and which is led by this person called William Hodgson. And this regiment played a very important role in suppressing the revolt of 1857, the famous revolt. And this is photographed by Mr. Felix Viartho in 1858. So now you see how this photography is also showing us history. This is a picture taken by Samuel Bond, Sati Chaura Ghat, Kanpur. And this is a picture because at that time the nationalist movement was taking place. So this is the nationalist demonstration on the streets of Mumbai, Bombay. And this is how different images of India are being shown. These nationalist marches and the meetings, because this was the everyday life at that time of people. So photography was also done. The pictures, paintings and photographs of different styles, new buildings is also with us. So let us see this one. This is the Victoria Terminus. Now this is now CST, Mumbai CST, Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, which was Victoria Terminus. And this is a railway station which is built between 1878 and 1887. Okay. It's a very beautiful, and it has the Gothic style. So these styles also, because we were talking about paintings, etc., but the styles, building styles were also taken. So we have here, if you see, this style Gothic, what does it mean? It has a different way of making the rounded arches, the pillars. These are very typical to this time. So this is the Central Post Office of Calcutta, and this was built in 1860s around. And the style is borrowed from the classical style of Greece and Rome. Coming to the search of a national art. We have been talking about different European arts. But what about Indian artists, famous artists? and how the thinking changed. So by the end of the 19th century, because at that time the nationalism was at its at its infancy. So there was a combination or a connection or imbibement of art and nationalism. Art and nationalism. All the pictures we see, there is some kind of new style or national style. How do we define this national style? So we will take certain name, and these names were very famous at that time. So what kind of thoughts, ideas were there, and how it changed? So the first one is the art of Raja Ravi Verma. He is Ravi Verma. He was a royal artist, and the iconic painting of Raja Ravi Verma includes this. I told you Damayanti, the first picture which we saw. So these pictures are not. It's just like a photograph, so realistic, so beautiful, so you cannot imagine how Raja Ravi Verma would have made this. It's so beautiful. It's just like a photograph we take. So that is why Raja Ravi Verma was iconic. We'll talk about Abhindranath Tagore just now. So who is Raja Ravi Verma? He was one of the first artists who wanted or who created or tried to create a style which is both modern, and also he tried to show the nationalistic behavior. That is, he belonged to the family of Maharajas of Travancore. You might heard about Trivandrum, Tiruvananthapuram. So in Kerala I am talking about. That because he belonged to that family, that is why he was addressed as Raja. That is why he was called as Raja Ravi Verma. And Raja Ravi Verma, because he mastered the Western art, all the Western art like oil painting, realistic type of painting, life study painting, he was very well versed with it. But still he painted what? He was painting the Indian mythology painting. He was knowing all the Western painting type of style, but Indian mythology like all the Vedas, Upanishads, Nishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, all these characters and the events he dramatized on the canvas, because the scene from Ramayana and Mahabharata. But he got inspiration from where? Because he was on the tour of Bombay Presidency. Raja Ravi Verma was touring Mumbai, right now Mumbai, but previously it was Bombay Presidency. So what he witnessed, what he saw there, he saw in theatre, the mythological stories are being performed. So these mythological stories, he got influenced by it, and then he started painting this. So Raja Ravi Verma painted these mythological paintings. He got influenced by the different theatrical performance. So he made this mythological painting, and now this kind of painting, even if he made it today, people will be raged about it. People will be pagal, they will get crazy. So the Indian princes and even the art collectors, they were just crazy about what the work he has been doing. So I'll just show you one more picture. This is Krishna Sandhan. Here you see Krishna Bhagwan is there. And this kind of picture was made by Raja Ravi Verma. That is the mythological painting I am talking about. Now, since people were crazy about him and there was a lot of demand, so Verma decided that he has to have a proper team, and he installed a printing press at the outskirts of Bombay. So I just told you the mythological painting and even the realistic painting, and because he has the Western touch also. So the poor could also buy, because he printed it in the mass produced way. So there was a different style of Raja Ravi Verma, but there are other aspects also, other ideas also. We are talking about Abhindranath Tagore. Abanindranath basically. Abanindranath Tagore. Now, Abanindranath Tagore, he was the nephew of Rabindranath Tagore. That is why we are talking about him. He was the nephew of Mr. Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore. So there were various people who gathered around him. There are different artists gathered around him. Okay, because these all people and Abanindranath Tagore, they rejected what Ravi Verma was doing. Raja Ravi Verma was, he said that he is imitative, he is westernized, and he said that kind of painting Raja Ravi Verma is making, that is, he is trying to show the national ancient myths and legends, that is unsuitable. Okay, he is using Western style to show certain things, which is not the Indian style. So if you want to show something, these people were saying, if you want to show something, it has to be in Indian style. That is, you have to draw inspiration from non-Western art tradition, not the Western art tradition. That is East, that is, if you want to know East, India, Arab, etc., if you want to capture the spiritual essence, the adhyatmikta of this area, East, you have to get the inspiration from non-Western art tradition, not the Western art tradition. So, the oil painting, realistic style, they didn't want. They turned for the Madhyayugin medieval Indian traditions of small miniature paintings. Right? They went back to Indian tradition, and the kind of painting in medieval age, that is the miniature painting, were famous at that time. So that kind of painting, they went back and they started painting like this. And the ancient art of mural painting, mural painting, the painting on the walls. So this painting on the wall, that is Ajanta and Ellora, we have seen, Bhimbetka we have seen. So this is the ancient art of painting on the walls. Okay, I'll just come to these pictures. So they were influenced by Ajanta, Ellora, cave painting. They were influenced by various other people like Japanese artists. Now at this time, there was a development of Asian art movement. Now this Asian art movement, because the Asian people or Asian panorama was thinking that the Western artist, Western art style tradition we are adopting, and it is being forced on us, and it is gaining importance. So we need to understand our importance also, our tradition also. So Ajanta caves, the previous mythological miniatures, all these, they were influenced by these Abanindranath Tagore and his disciples or his followers. So you will see that Abanindranath Tagore, he and his people were influenced by, first is Rajput miniature, second is the Japanese, and third is the Ajanta Ellora pictures. I'll show you the pictures. 3 pictures, how they were influenced and how they made it. The nature and style they picked from it. So first picture is this one. It's a miniature picture. Okay. And this is taken up, the idea is taken up from the Rajput miniatures. Okay. Abanindranath Tagore has made. Okay. This second one, if you see, this is the Yaksh of Kalidas poem Meghdut. And this is also painted by Abanindranath Tagore, and he used the watercolor. He didn't go for oil painting, etc. And here if you see, the absence of hard lines, very soft colors are being used. There is a misty kind of background. And this was the basic style of Japanese watercolor landscapes. So that is how Abanindranath Tagore painted like this. Now you see this picture. This is not being made by Abanindranath Tagore. It was being made by Nandalal Bose. Nandalal Bose was actually the student of Abanindranath Tagore. Now if you see here, everything is in lyrics. The flow of lines, the limbs, elongated limbs, the posture of the figures. So Abanindranath Tagore and Nandalal, they did not follow the earlier style. They modified it. Okay, giving it a 3-dimensional effect. You see, the shades they have used, the perspective they have used, it's showing a 3D kind of picture. Now things change here. First we started with Raja Ravi Verma, his style of painting, his ideas. Then we talked about Abanindranath Tagore. Now after 1920s, there was a different kind of artists which have different ideas. They said, no, Abanindranath Tagore and his people, they are doing, we don't want that. They saw it to be very sentimental. Somebody thought that this spiritualism which they wanted to show is not the central feature of Indian culture. This is not the only central feature. They said Why are you going back? We have to develop ourselves. You are going back again. Every time, everyone is going back. We have developed, we have evolved. So we need to explore real life instead of illustrating the ancient books always. We have to see the today's living folk art, today's tribal designs. We have to have the inspiration from this rather than going back. All these debates were going on, and all these are history, and what we have different styles. What you see here is Kakuzo Okakura. For India, it's Rabindranath Tagore. Same way for Japanese, it's Kakuzo Okakura. So I'm talking about 1904. Okakura, he published a book, and that book was called The Ideals of the East. East again. See, this is England, this is Europe, and this is called West. And East is Arabs, India, China, and all these South Asian countries. So we have Japan also here. So this is coming into East. That is how he wrote The Ideals of the East. And the first line was Asia is one. Asia ek hai. Now this was the basis of the fame, why this book became famous. He said, this we have Western domination. This all culture, tradition, style is coming from West, and we are getting dominated. So he just said that we have to develop ourselves. So he was the principal founder of first Japanese art academy. He was the main key person. Okay. He also visited Shanti Niketan, and Rabindranath Tagore and Abanindranath Tagore, they got influenced by him. That is how you see one picture of Abanindranath Tagore in Japanese style. So this is the style of Japanese picture. This is pine trees. It was not painted by him, but Hase Gawa Tohaku in 16th century. Okay, this is all about this discussion. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.